I want to talk to you this morning, ladies and gentlemen, about Africa in the 21st century and the challenges and opportunities that come. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, what was Africa first in the 20th century? We entered, I thought this is for me, because of perhaps some of the reasons that General Mutri was able to advance this morning. I thought I could cast my imagination along with you this morning to cover the African continent. And of course, on occasion, perhaps make specific mention to some of the countries within our great continent. Africa in the 20th century was a poor, mostly colonized continent. That's where we are coming from in the 20th century. Still parts of the region are making headlines with crises and conflicts, even into the new millennium. And what was Africa's share of world trade in the 60s? Amazingly low. And even now into the 21st century, it accounts for less than 2% of world trade. This is Africa. Close to 800 million people, lagging behind some of the BRICS countries, and basically BRICS standing for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. The population of Brazil is in excess of 200 million, more than the entire East African community population, because we are 126 million. All of us between Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, which one am I leaving? Tanzania. Brazil, 200 million. India, in excess of 1 billion. China, in excess of 1 billion. I think the Russians, for now, I will spare them. I am not quite sure I know the specific figures, but if you look at the BRICS countries, you're looking at a lot of humanity. And Africa, still under 1 billion. We're about 800 million, all put together. That is where we are. 3 decades ago, African countries were specialized in primary products and highly dependent on trading as just trading. And I'll be talking about that as well. Africa missed out on industrial expansion and now risks being excluded from the global information revolution. And Africa's development challenges go deeper than low income, falling trade shares, low savings, and low growth. Others include inequality and even access to resources, social exclusion, and indeed insecurity. And I think as a lot of you coming from the disciplined forces, you have been able to deal with issues of insecurity. Many people lack capabilities, and that's why we still talk about capacity building within Africa. And in terms of capacity building, health status, education, access to basic infrastructure. Large parts of the population are locked in a dynastic form of poverty. I mean, it's like we have accepted that poverty was made specifically for Africa. And I think this is what we are trying to break away from. A lot of our countries lack basic capabilities to participate in a productive economy. At the turn of the 20th century, Africa saw 223 deaths a year from malaria per 100,000, to 107 dropping to 107 in 1970, but now mortality rate has again soared to 165 per 100,000. A lot of this has to do with the recent pandemics. We have also seen social upheaval. We have witnessed civil wars. We have even seen a breakdown of health services in many of our countries, and growing resistance to anti-malaria drugs are partly also to blame for some of these things. These are some of the daunting challenges that faces the African continent. But at the start of the new century, Africa is afforded a unique window of opportunity to be able to address those challenges that are referred to. I'll single out 3. End of the Cold War. When after the Berlin Wall came down,